Welcome to another episode of the Up Your Confidence podcast. It's a destination podcast for female listeners seeking to build self-esteem, for maximize leadership and enhance performance at work and in life. Our goal is to equip, empower, elevate, and enhance confidence in women all over the world. We aim to inspire you to leverage your confidence as a key ingredient to reaching your God given potential. Today, I am excited to have another guest, and our guest today is my friend Dorothea Bozicolona-Volpe. Okay, let me try it again. Dorothea Bozicolone-Volpe. So Dorothea is a principal and founder of Social Espionage at Emory and Emory University School of Business alum. Thank you. Now, if you know anything about me, you know that I'm a knowledge broker. I mean, every time I find something that is good and working for me, I cannot wait to share it. And that's the case with Black Girl Vitamin. I have been dealing with a lot of personal health since 2 months ago, and I'm lacking my vitamin D. My cholesterol is high. My sleep is not well. So some of my joints are hurting me, and just I need my skin to look beautiful. And I have been taking some pills here and there. Then I stumbled upon Black Vitamin after I came back from one of my women conference. Then I love it. I order my pack. Within a week, I could see the difference. I could see my energy. I could see the glow. So I really want to tell you, get into Black Vitamin. I'm getting my vitamin D from them. I'm getting my collagen from them. I'm getting my cholesterol from them. I'm getting my CMO from them for energy and to boost my immune system. I could not be any happier. And again, woman owned, Black brand. That's what we love on the Up Your Confidence podcast. So get into it. Use the link below here and get into Black Girl Vitamin. It's going to change your game. It's going to make you happy. It's going to make you glow. Thank you. Dorothea was born in New York City to French and Italian parents. Her father passing caused her family to move to Europe, where she became somehow a nomad. She has lived in countries like Italy, France, Germany, Japan, Sweden, the Netherlands, and United Kingdom. You know I love to travel, so we can have a lot to talk about. Dorothea is a strategic digital marketing executive who is fluent in four languages and specializes in developing business through digital influencer and social media marketing for the world's most memorable brand. She teach marketer and business leader how to increase value and develop strong relationship between brand and fan. She holds three patents, two for law enforcement technology and one for skincare prevention. Dorothea is also a TEDx speaker and has appeared as a social media and marketing strategist subject matter expert on CNN and CBS Network. Welcome to the Up Your Confidence podcast, Dorothea.
Hello, and my last name is actually Bozicolona-Volpe. You were very close.
I
What
try, I
happens
try.
is people see the Bozicolona-Volpe and they go, how do I pronounce that? And I always tell people, bow as in bow tie,
Ooh.
colon, meaning there's always a colon when you're writing or you have a colon, ah, right? Bozicolona, and then Volpe, like paying a bill or
Mm.
pay me you owe me. Yeah, that too. Hey.
That's wonderful. Welcome to the Up Your Confidence podcast. I'm really excited to have you here. And one of the things that I love to talk about before we start is how I meet my guests because I always bring guests that I know personally. I don't bring random people on the street, I always try to bring people that I have some personal connection. So I met Dorothea actually just this last April. If it feel like I've known you forever, but anyway, that's another story. But
That's good
uh,
though.
we met this April at a conference, and we just hit it off. And you can just tell from her bio, right? Why will hit it up? She speak French. She has been to, I think I've been to mostly, I haven't been to Italy, I've been to France, Germany, Japan, Sweden, UK, and Netherlands. Actually, I've been to all the countries that she lives in. So you can already see that, our conversation sparkle, and we have stayed in touch. And I've been inviting her for the longest time to the podcast. So I'm so excited she's here today. She has, did everything, move her schedule to be here with us. So I'm excited about our conversation.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be here, Lisette. So actually, we met at Star East
Yes.
in Orlando, Florida. I was really hoping to see you again at Star West, but we'll talk about that another time on that podcast. That being said, I like to do whatever I can to support other women. I think I shared this with you when you attended my talk. I'm a huge, huge fan of Madeleine Albright, the
Right.
very first female Secretary of State in the United States. And, she has a really unique background as well. Born in Europe, came over as a very young person, as a child, became an American citizen through her parents.
Right.
Tiny little woman. And, years after she was Secretary of State, she was invited to, I believe, her alma mater. And it was a female college. And it was in 2008. It was around the time that, that around the world, the economies were not so great. And it was really bad here in the United States and very challenging because of what would happen in the mortgage and the banking industry.
Right.
There were a lot of young people who, let's be frank with one another, were fairly uncertain about, what's going to happen with my future? Like, what kind of jobs are going to be available to me, out in this very challenging economic landscape. So the young lady got up, after the commencement was done, and Secretary Albright was happy to take questions. And the tiny little thing, they put her, I remember, I remember watching the video, and they put her sort of on a block so she could just be up to the mic for the, for the lectern, just to be able to give her speech. The young lady kind of nervously gets to the microphone, and she asks, she goes, "Secretary Albright, it's such an honor to have you. Thank you. As you know, this is a very challenging economic landscape. Is there any advice that you have for young women who are entering the workplace for the first time?" And of course, Madeleine being, Madeleine, she kind of cleared her throat, and she said, "Yes, there's a special place in hell for women who don't help other women."
Oh gosh.
And I love that. And I remember you and Melissa
Oh.
Daly, who we kind of bonded with. We were the Three Musketeers during that event. We really bonded, and we really got that. The thing that's so beautiful about 2024, and I'm going to age myself a little bit, is I started out in law enforcement technology. I was a strategist, I was an analyst, and I was in a room predominantly, 90% of the time, I was the only female, right?
Right.
And I was only female in a room full of nothing but white males, right? So now that's the 90s. Take it 30 years later, 2024. It was so cool to be at Star East. And I've been at some conferences since then, and look out on the audience and see a multicultural audience, but predominantly an audience of women. And that really touched my heart. I know I'm supposed to sit and, be a braggadocio here. So you told me I'm supposed to talk about my business. Okay, so let's just get that out of the way so I don't come across like I'm
No, no, no. But that's really good. I mean, this podcast is
But it's a large part of what I do, right? So there are four parts of my business. One area is enterprise social networking, which really means community building. How do you build a community? Sometimes it's around a person, like a Ryan Seacrest, right? Or a Lizette, right? And sometimes it's around an event, like a Star East. And sometimes it's around an enterprise organization, like the Weather Channel, right? Or IBM or Coca-Cola. The other part of my business, the second part, and I kind of think of them as four legs to a chair, but none's more important than the other, because you can't sit on a chair that only has two legs. You can't. It has to have four legs, right? In order to get your bum on it. Unless, of course, maybe, you don't really have a bum, which I feel sorry for those people. But anyway, second part is personal branding and employer branding. And I do that for entrepreneurs, people who are solopreneurs, and it's just their business and they're about to launch it, all the way to the enterprise. L'Oreal, IBM, Coca-Cola, Chrysler, goodness me, VMware, yeah? And then the third part is anything you can think of that comes with marketing strategy. Social, influencer, loyalty. How do you create a marketing strategy to drive sales, for instance? And then finally, the very last piece that I do is e-commerce, right? How do you drive people to heuristically, use their brains and download a coupon or buy the stuff in their shopping cart and that kind of thing? what are some of the tips and tricks that you utilize? Because my background, as you know, and I think you're going to put the link to it from watching my podcast, because you were one of the first people to watch my podcast and go, oh my goodness, this was so moving. And I thank you again for that. It was really humbling to be able to do my podcast in New York City, of all places, and have my lovely niece, Leticia Butler, in the audience. She was on the front row. I couldn't help but, getting a little emotional. But the fourth part of my business, obviously, e-commerce and that kind of thing, really comes from my background in heuristics, psychology, and obviously doing the FBI's hostage negotiation course. That didn't hurt. It's great when you're dating at my age, because you can ask a few questions and immediately know, yeah, this guy's lying to me. I'm going to move on to the next one.
Ooh, this is good. So I have many questions. So, one about the dating. Let's start from the dating.
No, 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 no. You know what? I very rarely talk about my private life
No, no,
because,
no, not your
okay.
dating life. No, no,
Oh,
no,
you
no.
mean in general?
You mentioned something because I had a speech not too long ago, and I'm doing a speech that is about matchmaking and relating technology to matchmaking.
Right.
So the key, and I want to know from you, because you are a connector, you are a community builder, and
Yeah, I
community
believe that when
building.
you came through Atlanta, you were doing your technology event. Pardon me for interrupting, at Georgia Tech. And I was like, who can I connect her to so that they can sponsor this next year? And I remember introducing you to like a VC and somebody else and so on and so forth. And I really hope that all of those connections come to fruition. I love connecting people. So don't you think that it's the greatest compliment when somebody says, hey, remember that guy or that gal or that person that you introduced me to at Oracle, for instance? Well, they decided to sign on and sponsor my Women in Tech event and blah, blah, blah. And that makes me so happy. And I know that I don't really reap a financial reward from that, but I feel like it fulfills my heart, and I reap a universal karmic reward.
Yes,
Does that
yes.
make sense?
Yes,
I love
totally.
doing
Because
things like
it's always come back to you. But what
that.
I was gonna ask is like, when you have let's say you meet somebody, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
And you start asking them question, because not everybody is like a super introvert, right? And I don't consider myself introvert either. So what are the key tips you can give somebody and say, okay, this is how you get to connect with people easily, Is that what are we looking at? And
I'm going. Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. You said not everybody's an extrovert, right?
yes.
And there are a lot of people that are introverted and somewhat, socially awkward. Like, I would say that I'm a little nerdy and I get kind of excited and become a little socially awkward. We can't always appeal to everyone. I love what Chris Brogan. I'm going to quote him. He did a book called Trust Agents back
Okay.
in. I'm going to really age myself now. 2007, 2009 ish. Yeah. And he talked about networking in big crowds because he himself is an introvert and has to kind of do what I do, which is I'm an introvert that forces myself to be extroverted to do my work. And that actually, the term for that is ambivert. Okay.
Yes, yes.
AMBIVERT.
Hmm.
So one of the things he shares about in his book is he shares that, how to be sexy at a networking event. You know, back then it'd be really easy to just say, okay, you're going to have a name badge with something cute on it, maybe, or you'll have a question you'll ask everybody, what's your favorite vacation, maybe. And that's fine. But today we live in a world that is post-pandemic,
Mm.
and there are a lot of people who are suffering. All of us, I think, have a little bit of, depression. We're used to kind of working on our own. We don't maybe work in teams other than through this video. And I love being in a room with you and having you, hugging you on my birthday. That was just, can I tell you, it was the greatest birthday gift. I bragged to everybody that I got the best birthday gift from Africa. And I took that picture of you and I posted it everywhere. But what I'll say is this, I love to check in with people. Rather than just shake their hand, I just say, how are you doing? What's been going on with you?
Mm.
And let them open up. And if there's something that they're struggling with, maybe you're the conduit to help them overcome that struggle. Or maybe you can connect them, like I love to do, with a way to, conquer their fear or overcome an obstacle. Or, I probably wouldn't be the person to say lose 10 pounds because I have a French fry addiction, which is a story for another day. But I
That's
think
funny.
that it's really important that we check in with one another and just say, how are you? Now, there's a second part to that. This is not Chris Brogan. This is Dorothea speaking for Dorothea. If you look at those people that live longer lives, you see a lot of this talk about blue zones. It's not just the diet.
Right.
It's
Right.
also exercise. And one very integral thing, community. You have to be able to call somebody up on the phone and talk to them. The thing I love about you, Lisette, is it's as though you and I were separated at birth. From the moment we met, I felt like I could talk to you. We're not exactly alike. I mean, look at the two of us. I glow in the dark. You're this beautiful walnut shade of brown. I mean, my God, I saw men at my birthday party going, "Who's that cutie?" You know, and I think that also too, we have some things in common in that we love to smile. We're people who, like, when we walk into a room, we know we're going to meet new people, so we just smile. You know, and that's a great way to make people feel at ease. Or they'll think you're crazy, but either way, you know, you're smiling, right? I smile
Right.
a lot when I travel because I want people to think I'm nuts, so they won't mess with me. But community is huge, and community is the thing that helps us get over in life. You know, when I lost George, and I talk about this in my TED talk, and thank you again for promoting that within your podcast and within your own community. I lost a lot in that my entire community was based on that relationship with him. And I shared that I had to kind of reinvent myself. And, you know, I was a 20 something, I was a very young widow. People felt uncomfortable. I don't mind sharing that part of my TED talk I dedicate to all the women who disinvited me to their dinner parties because it was uncomfortable to be around somebody who lost their partner to cancer at such an early age. But
Mm.
in my TED talk, I talk about how I overcame that and I got reacquainted with them. And I'll say this, that, you know, even if you are far away from somebody and you don't talk every day, and I'm going to talk about my friend Ashley Quincy, and I hope I don't cry because I love her to pieces. Ashley is someone that I could text or call, and we could immediately pick up from where we left off 3 months ago.
Right. I have friends like that too.
Yeah, and I think that it's that kind of special thing that you can just fall in sync with someone because you're a community person. And I've been so incredibly fortunate. My community helped me out of a health struggle years ago. Um, you know, and I'm so incredibly, what's the word, fortunate and lucky that I have a group of people, both through business and personal, and sometimes through my volunteerism, you know, people who just love food and, you know, that kind of thing, because I'm really involved with food related charities, that I can reach out to and have a conversation with. And at least they know me, they know my personal brand through that community. I think the one thing that I'll never forget my girlfriend, Judy Knight. I love her to pieces. She's lovely. She's another person that you should have on this podcast, by the way. She's a female entrepreneur in the tech world. She builds really beautiful web presences and very engaging content for people. You know, Judy said something, and it wound up being on my birthday gift. It said, "To Dorothéa Bozicolona-Volpe, a person of her word." And I thought, wow, that's really cool to have that as my personal brand, and people actually look at me like that
Mm.
and kind of think about, because I do like to follow through on things. It may take me a minute, you know, as it did with you with this podcast, but I like to be known for that. So as a community builder, and tonight I'm hosting a, a lovely campaign event for a
Mm.
woman named Ashley Brundage, who's the first LGBTQAI plus woman to run for the legislature in Florida. So I'll be posting lots of pictures of that, so we can link that into this as well. So.
Nice. So, would you say, as a personal branding expert, what would people should look for, when they're trying to build a personal brand?
Well, one is obviously you want to build a community around yourself. That's the only reason why you want to exist on social media. I mean, it's not just I want fans and I want to be an influencer. That's kind of, I appreciate people who have that as a goal. There's a lot of work that goes into that. Years ago, it was something that you could do quite rapidly. But now that there are more people on these very rapidly growing social media platforms, from TikTok to, Instagram, even Etsy and WhatsApp are considered social media platforms now,
I
right?
know.
And it's really, really important that you're community minded. And I'll also say this, and because I see a lot of it, I see a lot of people maybe misstepping. Okay. Whether somebody agrees with you or not, be gracious.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I mean, I tell people, like, if somebody writes something negative on your blog, or let's say I give this talk and they don't like something that I've shared, I'll happily, after you post this, go back in and say, thank you for sharing your opinion. I value that. Because I think we all need to be seen. But we
Mm.
also all need to be heard, and it's okay if you and I don't agree on something. I mean, we're not going to, yeah. But the thing that I love about the two of us is that we embrace the differences, and we're cool with that.
Would you say that the fact that you have grown up and live in so many places, it make it easier for you to connect? Because I feel like embracing change, at least for me, I've learned that the reason I'm able to embrace change and connect with people is because of my background, the fact that I travel a lot and I know about other culture. Do you think that's a big change game game change? It make a difference?
You think it's a big game changer in how I approach things? I think that was
Yes,
the question. Yeah. Forgive me for uh, uh,
that's fine.
finishing your sentence, your question, because we're such on a great sync that we can do that. We sync very well. Um, what I will say is this: I think we both have the the adjective when people describe us as, oh, Lizette, she's very broad-minded. Dorothea, she's very broad-minded. And I think with travel and also with learning another language, you kind of have a second, third, sometimes fourth, fifth soul, right? You
Mm.
have a soul that can kind of see things through a different cultural perspective and a different cultural mindset. Now, gosh, does that help make me a more understanding or more easy to connect with person? I don't know. I mean, obviously, time will tell with that. I'd like to think so. But I think that having an open heart and an open mind and a growth
Hmm.
mindset, it takes
Yes.
work. It takes work to be that way. And I think that my broad-mindedness is very integral into that. Is it a thread that maybe goes through, the fabric of what it is that I do? I'll say yes, but I think only time will tell, right? I'm sure that there are some people that when they meet me, they're like, oh my God, she's such a nerd, or she's speaks too much about something or whatever. And that's okay. I don't mind the criticism. I think that the most important thing that we can do is have an open heart and be open-minded toward, our fellow humans and dogs. I'm a huge fan of dogs. Cats I'm allergic to, but dogs all day long.
So when you're building a personal brand, is it that when people look at you, because sometimes I'll get friends or colleague or ex-colleague send me something and be like, when I saw this, you remind me of you, or I
Mhm.
heard about this and I want you to know about it. And it make me happy because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, they know what I'm about. So I'm just wondering, for people that are not sure how to cultivate their own personal brand, is that what you put out there, or how do you cultivate that personal brand to a point where people really know what you're about?
Yeah, I like that you said that because that's a really good example. That's happened to me a time or two as well. I think by sharing your mores and values,
Okay.
what you personally stand for, Simon Sinek talks a lot about your why. What's your why?
Why?
If people know what you're about, they're going to be attracted to that. People will connect with you. And I also think it's okay to share your vulnerabilities. Look, I'm not saying you got to put all your business out there, right? I mean, I'm sure Lizette, a time or two, you don't necessarily always get along with your children. And the whole
That is not that is a, we can talk about this, but me sharing vulnerability is one of the difficult thing ever.
Yeah,
It's very difficult. It's not
yeah.
something that is easy. So,
And I respect that, but as a working mum, as you are,
mhm.
I imagine there's some days that you think, "Oh my goodness, my children are really challenging me, and I really
Oh
wish I could
yes.
just blog about it or tell my friends." But again, that's your personal choice. There are people, years ago they used to be called mommy bloggers, and by the way, they don't like being called that these days. Now they're
Okay.
calling bloggers or influencers. Um, and they would talk about everything, potty training and the difficulty of breastfeeding.
Right. Mom related stuff.
I don't know that I'm that open of a person, but what I will say is that I do share some things about myself that, you know, um, that to me are meaningful to me, not to sound so selfish, but it's true. And I think that by doing that, you'll find that there are people who will agree with you. Maybe they've struggled with the same thing, or maybe they've had, a difficult time with something. And just by you communicating that you've done it, they feel like, oh my goodness, well, I have a comrade. I have somebody that's kind of
Mm.
going through something.
Yeah, but the key, this is a good question to ask. The key, because I never done that. The key is, do you share while you are going through the struggle, or do you share afterward? What is the best time?
It's really dependent upon the individual.
Okay.
I don't think that it's anything other basically than being in the moment with your audiences, and
Mm.
it's okay to maybe not necessarily what's the word I'm looking for? It's okay to do things on your own time frame.
Right. Okay.
You'll know if something's urgent and you really need to share it.
Yeah, because sometimes in this social media world, it's almost like you want to live in the moment, but sometimes you don't have to live in the moment,
You don't.
you can just, because even me lately, I have not been having the goodwill or the interest to post, or post anything. And I just live by that, usually when I travel I post a lot, but lately I've been so tired. I mean, true, to be true, I just been
Yeah.
mentally and emotionally so tired that I'm like, I don't want to post. But then, like 2 nights ago or last night, I saw a reel and it just spoke to me. So I was like, I'm gonna make it real, So I
Mhm.
really go by my feeling, because I'm like, nobody's forcing me. Because sometimes I've seen people that I follow on my social media feed. I feel like they post, and then they probably get really, just exhausted, and they disappear. At some
Yeah.
point they just ghosted, they disappear. You don't hear about them for like months, and then they come back again. And I'm like, what is that? It's probably because they're not following their own rhythm. They're just trying to do way too much. So what is the best approach, when you out here in your social media trying to build a brand?
I think if you're really trying to brand build, then you must be consistent. Every Thursday at 10 a.m., let's say, that's when you send your newsletter out. I'm being hypothetical, but people will come to start to look for it. And I'm just as bad at this because I've taken a severe amount of time away from my social media channels because of some personal things that are going on with me. And I think you know what that was, Lisette. I'm not comfortable sharing it here,
No,
but
no, no.
later on. And, because I'm healing from that and I'm trying to kind of work on that, it's just I'll get to it when it's a priority.
Hmm.
Here's the thing: if you're an influencer and you have cosmetic, contracts and so on and so forth, they're going to press you to make sure that you're pushing those products and so on and
Right.
so forth. And you have contractual obligations. But if you're an individual,
Now it become your job, literally, because you're
exactly,
getting paid
become
from
your
it.
job.
Yes.
And if you're an individual, what I would say to you is do what makes you feel comfortable and find
Hmm.
that one channel that you feel like you connect the most with people. Maybe it's TikTok, maybe it's X, formerly Twitter, right? Maybe it's YouTube, maybe it's Instagram, maybe it's Facebook. Facebook is still very viable. It's still the
Yeah,
number one,
Facebook is, I mean,
still
even
the
though the
number one
young,
business network. LinkedIn is number two. I always have to tell people that they don't listen. So
Facebook is number one.
it is, yes, thanks to
Oh wow.
yeah, and it gets more eyes than LinkedIn. But when
Okay.
you ask people what's the number one business network, they always say LinkedIn because they connotate that, which means LinkedIn's doing a great job on their marketing and on their branding.
Right.
But you have to do the things that are comfortable for you, and I think I learned this because, you know, um, as I've shared with you privately, there was a situation, and I'm trying to now deal with that situation, and it really caused a lot of issue with my personal mental health. And now, obviously, I'm kind of getting back into the groove of things. I'm doing more talks. Thank you, Emory University, Goizueta School of Business, because I'm speaking there again. I think on October 17th, I'm doing a video conference called Business Before Breakfast. So I'll send you that link. But I'm also talking on November 4th to the Goizueta School of Business, specifically on personal branding. So there'll be young students in that, and I love giving back to my alma mater, but young students in that audience. So I think it's really very personal, and you need to kind of take that minute, take that time to really get to know yourself and what you want to do, because you're right, you can burn out really quickly. I'm constantly making content and I'm constantly, there are people that do that for a living, and it's okay. My worry is that all of this social media, in the words of the great Surgeon General of the United States of America, Vivek Murthy, some social media channels should come with a warning label
Right.
for some children of certain ages and even adults. They might have bipolarity or schizophrenic disorder or manic
Yes.
depression or what have you, because it's a very easy way for someone to get caught up in things, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I think that I read, but people don't understand is, when you work as a strategist and social media is one of your expertises, I read a lot ComScore data, Nielsen data, App Annie, you name it. But I also read statistics from the CDC at the number of suicides we're seeing amongst young people who are
Wow.
very thoroughly involved, in social media. And there's a great number of them that have done it online.
Wow.
They've done it there was a Facebook Live. Remember some years back, there was a young lady who, she said, she did kind of a poll, should I commit suicide today? And then she did it. And I
Oh
think
gosh.
that, yeah, this was a few years back, but and you're welcome to Google it. I don't remember her name now, but that just broke my heart because I'm an agent of that world. So
Yeah.
this is what I'll say to you: do what makes you feel comfortable, and what makes you feel good. You
That's
know.
that's a great answer, but let me ask another question related to that, because the folks that listen to my podcast, because I look at the stat from the age of 25 to literally I want to say 75.
Okay.
So y- I am realizing that, because I'm Gen X, but I'm really barely Gen X,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not a
Gen X as
millennium.
well, so that's cool. We both have that in common.
So, but the thing is, I feel like us Gen X, social media is not our bread and butter. The
No.
Millennium and the Z and the Alpha are like way into it, right? So, what would you give a Gen X? Because I was literally talking to a friend last night about this. She just lost her job, and she was telling me that, oh my God, Lizette, you are so good at branding yourself. Because what happened usually is when people lose their job, and literally she has been at this job for more than 20 years, because I worked
Mm.
with her about 17 years ago, and she's still been in the same company.
So,
So,
can I ask something? Are you
yes.
comfortable? Can you ask her if she would like to meet me? I'd love to talk to her. If she's out of work, I'd love to give her some tips for free.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll share that with
And
her.
then I'll go
But
back
but
to,
let's just
yeah.
talk to this audience, because I'm sure this layoff thing is happening left and right. Since I've been back in the state, I've been hearing a lot more about it, and I realized that folks that are Gen X, mostly Gen X, they have no idea how to brand themselves.
Yeah.
They barely post on LinkedIn. They barely. I've met so many people at conference last week. They were like, I'm sure the Gen X. They were like, "Oh, Lisa, I always see your post," and I'm like, "I've never seen you like my post." And that's what I was telling myself in my mind. Like, you see my post. I never saw.
Mhm.
I don't even know that you're on LinkedIn, let alone have seen you like it. So, what would be an advice for like a Gen Xer? Mostly because I want to give something to the Gen Xer in how to personal brand yourself, especially not waiting to lose a job, but just what do you do?
Okay, so the first thing I would say is focus on one community that you feel that you can give your, heart, mind, and soul to, and
Mhm.
really focus on growing your community there. If it's somebody, that maybe has just recently, lost a job and they're in transition, don't you think it would be cool to, have them focus on LinkedIn, right? Or if they're an entrepreneur, it might be Facebook. But I think it's very important that they focus on one and really get to know all the bells and whistles of that and how to use it and how to brand themselves, right? And how to connect with their community. Because I'll go back to what I originally said, which is the only reason why you exist on social media is that you are creating a community around yourself or your company. Does that
Mm.
make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So pick one and then start using it slowly and surely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Exactly.
that's
And
that's
then
that's
after you master that one, maybe you find that you really like Instagram and you want to move over to that or TikTok or what have you. I still think that TikTok still, for me, this whole Chinese thing still has me a little concerned. So while I'm on
no.
it,
I'm not on TikTok. I feel
yeah,
like
while
I'm
I
not
while,
the
while I'm on it for my clients, I don't really do a lot myself, just because
okay.
I want to see how it's yet to see whether or not it's going to be an entity in the United States in North America.
Exactly, because it's still going through, legislation next year after the election.
Mhm.
So that's a great answer, because I feel like that's an easy, simple answer. Anybody can just. I thought
Yeah.
you were gonna give like a rocket science, you know, 15-page essay answer, but I guess I could have thought about that when because she asked me. I was like, I don't know. I just learned that this is important, and I'm sharing. I never knew that I was building a community, but I just felt like share, because for me by nature I'm a sharer. I
Yeah,
call myself a knowledge broker. That's why for me that's how I usually use my social media.
that's a great
You
personal brand, a knowledge broker. I love that.
Yeah, that's
Bravo, you, you said.
so you're never gonna see me dancing very rarely, or doing any funny thing unless there's really some fun stuff happening and I'm in the
Exactly.
vicinity, right? But you always see me sharing something, knowledge, because I'm almost like Oprah, That's why I gravitate toward Oprah so much, because I'm
Yeah.
just the type of girl. If I hear I'm at the airport, I was at the airport in Qatar and I saw this brand new product from a perfume company that I like. They're not paying for this podcast, so I'm not saying the name, But I sent it
That's
to my
funny.
friend, you know. I
Mhm.
sent it to my friend. I was like, oh my God, you know. I sent it to my friend, and I was talking to my mom yesterday, and she was talking about the same brand. She's like, I was like, oh my God, they have so much stuff. So I'm always the one, like, you don't need to ask me. Like, I know, like, you have new word now, they call ghosted or
Yeah,
gatekeeper. I don't gatekeep information, you know. If
yeah.
I know something,
I'm
you're
the same
gonna
way. I love to share something that I know and something that I really, and I'll
find
say that,
out.
in conjunction with people who are just starting to build their personal brand, it's okay to set up a Google alert for your name. Find out where your name
Ooh.
is being posted. I mean, Lizette, have you ever done that? Like searched on your name?
I search my name all the time, but I don't have a Google
Yeah, just
alert. I
wanna
think
see,
that's
like, what's being said, and maybe there might be something that you've maybe missed that somebody wrote, like, on something that you
I
posted.
go there
You can
every
see it,
three
and
to
you can
six
go back
months.
and respond to it, you know?
Do you know why I start Googling myself? Because my daughter at school, because I travel a lot for conference and whatnot. So I'm always trying to get her involved into like what I'm doing. And one time she told me that she told her friend, oh, my mom is not here because she's at a conference. You can Google her. I was like, oh, you said that? So I was like,
Wow!
yes. So then
Awesome.
I had to
Mm,
go Google myself. And then when I
yeah,
saw it, she's like, Mommy, I Googled you and my teacher said that you were talking at this conference and this and that. And everybody was like, yeah, look at Esteline. So that was good. So I need to set up a Google alert. This is good information because I feel like, sometimes when you've been so much on social media and you
yeah,
being a strategist, you have to realize, and this is the same thing that I was mentioning to teams last week about artificial intelligence, that we live in a bubble. When you do something
yeah.
so much, you just feel like everybody
You
know it.
you and I probably need to do a totally different, podcast, another video cast on DEIB and AI, because I have a lot of, let's just say, tips, but also opinions about that.
Oh, I have strong opinion too, a lot.
HR and AI. I don't
Invite
know
me.
how healthy it is. Yeah.
Yes, I'm totally there because I'm really a lot into AI. I've been on several panels, but I was on a panel that was very nerdy and everything, and I just kept in bringing them to reality, because I work with company in Africa. I talk to company, and they barely know what is AI, and then we are here talking about like, oh my God, this is what it's gonna do. So I'm always bringing them back to like, come on. And then somebody asked the very basic question. So I'm always big cognition of like other people don't know all these cool bells and whistles that we know. So I love your answer. We are coming to the end. We have one last question that we love to ask our all our guests. And
Oh my goodness, should I brace myself? What is that?
the, the question is, what do you do to up your confidence every day?
Oh, that's easy. Thank you very much. That's a great question. I keep a gratitude journal.
Oh,
Every morning I
nice.
wake up and I write what I was grateful for the day before and what I'm looking forward to accomplish today. Um, and I find that by starting my day in gratitude, it allows me to sort of level set, and it makes me feel a little bit more empowered. So I'm able to go into my day with an open heart and a growth mindset. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that does. And I love it. You know why I love it? Because gratitude is my superpower. It's one of my most important tenet in life, And
Mhm.
I follow Robin Sharma. He's one of my favorite author of all time. And on one of his newsletter, literally this week, I usually have three questions that I ask myself on a gratitude. But he add like three more questions. And some of them I'm gonna send you because I was gonna look for it, but I'll send them to you personally because since
Love
that's
that.
your thing. Because those questions, I was like, one of them that was like a little bit great, but I was like, not every day. He asked two that was good. One was, what am I gonna release today?
Yeah.
Meaning like maybe yesterday somebody bother you, somebody say some mean stuff to you. You just want to release that today. So that's good. The second one was, how do I want it begin with the end in mind? So he wants you every day to think about how you want to be remembered. I was like, oh Lord, every day. so, so like when you set
But
your
would you
day,
agree that I mean, you're the same person, but you also have different things that you deal with on a day-to-day basis. So I kind of like that. That's
yeah, but I was like, ooh, I literally took note this week, and I was like, that's gonna be a game changer for my own gratitude. So I haven't started practicing, but I just took the note. So I love that you mentioned that. I'll send it to you. Thank you so much,
yes. And since
Dorothea.
we're talking
How
about
does
gratitude, I wanted to thank your audiences and you, Lizette, for the generous gift of your time and just your interest. And I hope that this is one of many many times that I get to spend some time with you on your podcast. It was a real honor for me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And one last thing, how does people reach out to you to work with you and so forth and so on? If you can
Oh,
just
that's
give
really
us.
easy. Just my name, Dorothéa Bozicolona-Volpe. Like you, Lizette, I'm one of a kind. And you can find me, my handles on TikTok, X, and Instagram are at Social Espionage. And I'm sure
Mm,
we'll put that in the meeting
yes,
minutes here, the
the
conference,
show note.
the
Yeah.
show notes. But actually, Dorothea Bozicolona-Volpe, I'm that on everything, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. So please feel free to reach out to me. I'm excited to connect with some of your listeners. And thank
Okay.
you, Ken, for being so kind.
Super, super. This was exciting. This was really great. And I want to make sure that, we have all the information that we need. Thank you so much. Stay tuned.